Good evening. We're working. All good so far. Open this up. How are we, people? How is everybody in the madness? Are you coping? All coping. Hello, people. How are we? Are we coping well with the madness? Easy, is it? I'm a wee bit fucking sick of it, to be honest with you. No surprise there, eh? Fuck, my smoke go. Guns N' Roses. Fucking Guns N' Roses. Wanty bees and spandex. Guys, how you doing, mate? What do you want, stalker? What do you want? What do you want? What is it? What is it? What do you want? What do you want? I'm getting stalked. It's not the kids, it's the dog. Come here then. Come on, up. I'll start talking soon. I'm just getting myself into it, you know. It's going to last longer, another 3 weeks. And how you doing? She certainly is. I've seen that beyond belief. Obviously people are realising that something's not quite right. Right, go. Good girl. Go on. So, you know, if I'm looking mainly for people to join me and have a chat. Obviously everybody's in a state of disbelief probably with the situation we're in right now. Not only do they tell you that you live in an absurd place, they also request absurd things from you. You know? See if you will jump. Simon Says stay at home. Everybody does it. So say I'm a wee bit sick of it. It's the usual. Anybody that's been about, you know, when the whole questioning the earth really kicked in again, kind of 2014, 15, it was the same old, you know, as it always has been. Whenever anything is questioned or anything's brought to light, we get a bombardment of all different scenarios, rabbit holes appearing left, right and centre, and everybody is eating themselves and each other to get a piece of the pie and be the next man with a big answer. So I've not even been bothering my arse. At this moment in time, it's just a matter of wait and see, because I don't think anybody's got a real grasp on the next move, you know. I see people, I'm out as well, so I'm sure. There's a lot up here. I mean, today I was out on the bike, out in the car as well. There's loads of people, loads of them. And this is the thing that people really need to realise: they cannot rob you of your right. People will say God-given, but your freedom as a sentient being to look after your own health, to be out in the world, exercise, do whatever you need to do in order to maintain your own sanity, your own balance. And it's good that people are doing that, you know. It was only going to last for so long, and this talk of extending it for 3 weeks and whatever else, you've got to wonder if they're trying to incite people to rise up and get annoyed, you know. Station the plane, you were in hospital and it was empty. A wee injury, did you? Fauci is gone. Has he been sacked then? I've seen him, he's not appeared since he sniggered when Trump mentioned deep state. That was the last time I seen him. You doing, Robert? The weather's been pretty decent. I've had a lot of dry days, still some overcast right enough as it is right now, but at least it's dry. I don't think he's resigned. I don't know if he's resigned or if he's been sacked. That is it Fauci or Fauci? I don't know how you even pronounce his name. Fauci, the wee guy with the glasses that's always next to Trump. I don't know. You don't even know what he is. Some advisor, whatever. Say I pay very little attention to politics and mainstream. But I've had a wee interest recently. But it's the same old. You're just taking second-hand information from people. And I'm sick of saying this. If you know, this is how we get confusion and muddying of the waters. Disinformation. People think they're passing about information. They're not checking it properly. They don't have any hands-on experience of the majority of the stuff they're sharing. So say it's all very well when you use some method of questioning and you can pick out contradictions, you know, statements, contradictions that have been made, you know, fallacies that have been offered up. But as soon as people start telling you that this is going to happen, this is what's going on, this is what they're up to, I just lose interest really quickly. But it's still going on, same old. I say I never really had much to offer this evening other than an opportunity for people to get together and have a chat. So it's on you lot this evening, people. I've got things I'm probably going to present through the week, but this evening I don't have much at all, other than the usual, just to say to people, you know, what's going on here in this platform and who I am, you know. A man questioning the validity of claims that have been made to me since birth. I consider what I've been born into to be a cult, and I don't just mean in regards to beliefs or statements made about the earth we live upon. A cult in regards to what society dictates to you, what society offers to you, your own cultural teachings, you know, who you are, who you think you are, what's expected of you as a human being, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. This is all cult mentality, and the sooner people realise that, the better. The reason that you know it's a cult is because you're getting affirmed statements. You have human beings walking about with sincerity, confidence, certainty that they have a grasp on themselves, reality, when in reality is they do not. They don't even know they're there. They don't know how it came to be, why they're here. And for me as a species, we should never let go of those questions. And we need to get rid of these dipshits that try to impose systems or offer systems up, and human beings clamber over themselves to partake in it. Because it's never going to end well. So, as of right now, human beings do not even know where they are. But they're all clamouring for certainty and looking to each other, looking to authority, looking to whoever. If it's not a man authority, it's some mystical, invisible, metaphysical authority. And it's tiring. I'm sick of illogical, psychopathic, sociopathic, needy, insecure morons taking up positions of power and causing a total and utter shit show for the rest of us. I can't be bothered with this reality, to be honest with you. If I see human beings starting to get their act together, applying some real discernment, some real logic, some direct realism, and catering to first and foremost the basic necessities of each and every human being. Human beings are just trampling over everything here. Total disregard for every other sentience that's by their side. I'm sick and tired of these materialist, reductionist, type thinkers. They're not even thinkers, they're just lazy bastards that spew and perpetuate all these idiotic philosophies about what it means to be a sentient being, what your consciousness is. That have you believing that you're a mutant, an accidental mutant, brought about by random chance happenings. But yet you know fine well that's utter pish. You've known it since you were a young child. You had that awareness of self. You had compassion and love in your heart, whatever that means. When I say heart, I don't mean in the meat. You've bought into what the cult offered you. You disconnected, desensitised yourself from yourself in order to chase delusions and pipe dreams. Dreams of stature and power and superiority and one-upmanship. If we're no looking to support each other on the basics and creating a solid foundation to move forward upon, we're never going to get far. They have us penned up like fucking zoo animals, eating each other for a piece of the prize. Human beings can make a distinction. They have discernment. We can eradicate the bullshit and make smart choices. Stop pandering to lazy attitudes, especially your own. So, right now you're a fucking hairless mutant monkey spinning about in the void, the vacuum. You don't have real consciousness. Your consciousness is just an illusion. All you are is a bunch of fucking meat and bones bumbling about the place. That's what I'll tell you. Scientifical. Told to you from other human beings who are obviously a part of the same system of mutants, but yet you have to take their word for it because they're smarter than you. And that's what people are allowed to happen. Somebody else is smarter than me. That's the beauty of this question. Where are you? What is this world? Because no man has any superiority over other men, women, children. None. That only perpetuates when you allow it to happen. When you allow yourself to be gaslit that you don't have the capabilities, that other men and women have more capabilities than you have. When it comes to assessing this reality, you are on an equal plane, same as everybody else. And your standard for other people's claims must be practical reference. Remove aspects that are purely based in language, conceptual, abstract nonsense, and get right to the nitty-gritty. What can be demonstrated to you? If claims are made, regardless of what that claim is, no ifs, buts, maybes, no appeals to consensus authority, any of these things, none of it counts. Where's the practical references? And that should apply in every avenue of your life, not just when you're questioning the earth. Because that way you do yourself and your fellow man a better service. Because you become a realist, intellectually honest with yourself. What do you actually know? What is your experience of anything? If you speak from experience, then you do yourself and everybody else a justice. Then you've got something to offer. When you speak from ignorance and your ego's piping in because it wants to be relevant and important, then you're not doing anybody a service. And it's not just us. Sick and tired of the brutality and the ignorance for all the other sentience that's here. You know, as I went back, going back to what I was saying earlier, you know, your consciousness is nothing. Us and animals are just bumping particles, all coming about randomly. They'll say the same about animals, yet you can see it in nature. I watched a wee video the day, and it does, it brings tears to my eyes, because that's who I am. When I see the love and affection from the animal kingdom, because they're no bogged down with egos and language and all this fucking rubbish. But people will tell you, it's just animals, we're different, we're this, that these kind of attitudes allow atrocities to happen. I watched a video the other day, and it was a goose that hadn't seen the woman for a year or something, remembered her and came towards her with passion and love and affection, and I go, there you go, there's one wee simple example. These things are no robots. There's sentience here. And if you can be apathetic and ignorant towards other sentience, then you don't deserve any compassion or understanding towards you. You deserve everything you fucking get. Or this hypocritical, fucking contradictory, you know, behaviour. Pure me, pure victim. Well, you want to be messiahs and whatever else. It's a fucking shambles. There's no consistency. Gimps spamming the chat. Cheers, Mick. Where are they? What's their fucking names? Right, obviously the Alan Martin. Bear with me here. Who's the other one? James Reilly. Go on. So as I say, for me, we've been taken so far off of any kind of level that we're just at the point now of total fucking it's a breakdown. You know, whatever's going on right now is obviously beneficial to us at this moment in time, because it gives people the opportunity to realise that what's really relevant and important, because your fancy car, your fancy house and your gazillions in the bank mean absolutely fuck all, absolutely nothing in a situation like this. Now what are you going to learn? What are you going to learn about yourself? What are you going to say to your children, your partner? Huh? Probably fuck all. I was laughing at somebody the other day, talking about how they can't wait till the pubs and the clubs are open so they can fucking get drunk and have loud music and snort coke and... That's because you've got nothing to say. You don't know what a conversation is. You don't know how to stimulate somebody's mind. But that's the way we've been living. Delusion land. Everybody getting out their face and whatever. Just getting from one day to the next. I'm sick yet. So how are you people? If you want to join me, you need to send me an email. As I say, I don't have much to offer you this evening, other than an opportunity for people to come and have a chat about whatever you think's going on, whatever you've got to say. So, and I've got a whack of emails here, but you know, I'm fed up saying it to people. You need to catch me, you know, when I'm on live or whatever. Because as soon as I see a bunch of emails, I'm just going to ignore it. I don't have the patience, I don't have the attention to deal with it. That doesn't mean that I'm ignorant to any. I offer you an opportunity to speak to me direct. So, don't have the balls to go on YouTubes. Right. Hi Chris Willis, I'm on right now. You're going to phone in, Daniel, though. You need to send me an email here if you want to join me. The email's above. So, what was I saying? Well, I'm waiting to see if anybody's going to join me. This is us at the cutting edge. We are fucking hairless mutant apes that came about for no reason whatsoever. I mean, what a great way to gaslight people. What a great way to take away their self-esteem. And to continue on with the attitude we've had. And as I say, it's not only the attitude towards each other. Think of the fucking atrocities in regards to animals that human beings are partaking in. Fucking breaks my heart, honestly. I always refer to this place as a total abomination, and I'm sick of these religious type folks that talk about their gods and God this and fucking God that and the other. I'm goddamn get fucking real. You know, all these pipe dreams of fucking messiahs and saviours and God loves you and all this fucking gibberish. I'm fucking sick and tired of it. As I said before, And there's always a fucking excuse. I bet this and I bet that. What kind of dipshit would put a place like this into motion? What kind of moron? And if you're worshipping some god or deity that you think created this, then for me there's something deeply disturbing about you. Same with these crackpots, as I said before, the new spiritual new age stuff. I'm at one with the universe and everything else. I mean, it tells me that you're just not thinking. Is this the globe proponents? This is all they've got to do with their time. They've probably sat preparing all week with hundreds of fucking sock accounts. This is the same wee guys who I recorded the other evening, phoning my phone, and my partner and my children in the living room. My partner answered the phone to these two wee snooty nosed fucking globe cult morons. So I'm just going to keep gathering everything I need to gather. He's no the brightest, I've already told you that. It's not my fault that you want to believe in fantastical ideas of reality, abstract notions of what you think reality is, and you're upset and butthurt about that, and people like me are a threat to you. Well, you should stop being so fucking lazy then and weak. I'll just phone in to harass Greg Stewart. I'll just phone in because they're butthurt, because it doesn't matter who they send here or who comes here, they get absolutely fucking spanked rotten. Fisted right up to the elbow. And then it just annoys them and irritates them, because their wee ego's taking a bashing. So they don't have a spine, they don't have any creativity, they don't have any determination, any real will, guile. They have nothing. No intelligence. Nothing. And it annoys them. The majority of these clowns are little academic creeps that believed in the hype of academia, that it was somehow going to make them superior beings. And you get little old me that can rip the shit right out of them with gutter patter, or on an intellectual level. You don't have to be an academic. You just have to be real with yourself and focus and have a bit of determination to get to the bottom of whatever's being offered to you. And if you remain honest through that, then you've got nothing to worry about. You can bat the lies away like fucking swatting flies. That's exactly what's wrong with these wee creeps. That annoys them. Anybody that remembers that all the older trolls used to come and get spanked, and then you seen other channels who realised that that was a good way to get attention and make people think you were genuine. So a lot of other people mimicked it, and they're still mimicking it to this very day. It's like you give them an inch to take a mile. They just constantly, repeat it and mimic it over and over and over again. See, it's much easier for me just to go hide user. It's just one click. It's much more annoying for them that they need to go and keep making new accounts. Anyhow. No worries, John. I said the last time, I've said many times before, that's exactly how I feel about this place. It's almost like being missold a holiday destination. And going back to this whole thing about people and their need to be a victim and have a saviour. And they talk about creation and creators and all this stuff. It always has to be in the form of some deity with some, task that it wants you to achieve, or expectation for you to behave a certain way, or any of these things. And none of that stuff jives with me at all. It breaks down. Because these very same people, I'll try and make it simple, these same people who believe that their God is some infinite, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent being, right? That means that there is nothing that can be new that can be added, and there's nothing that can be taken away. But yet they chase these notions that they're here for some structured learning, to attain some spiritual ascendance or whatever it may be. But they don't realise the flaw in their reasoning there, or their thinking. Go right back to the first premise. Infinite, eternal. Can it be added to? Nothing can be taken away. But yet you think in your little life experience that you're changing or transforming some part of that. It's ridiculous. And this pomposity of human beings again, thinking they own all these notions of subduing and taking ownership. No human being created this. Human beings can only make discoveries of the potential, the infinite possibility that was already there and always has been there. So in every faction of experience, you get human beings making claims like, I made this, I own that, this is mine. That's where the mental illness begins. They don't even have the humility, the humbleness to realise that they never made any of this. For me, it is only an experience. Now, you can make it a good experience or a bad experience, but that's only relative to you as the individual when I say good and bad. Either way, it's just an experience. You can tell yourself whatever you like about it. Shit happens. Good shit happens, bad shit happens. People are always chasing justice. I'm a poor victim, bad stuff's happened to me, therefore it has to be a free-for-all. What kind of moron God would make a rigged game? Human beings and other professed intelligence, and now we're in a situation where you've got a couple of guys through a TV screen telling you there's an invisible, scary, bad guy, and that you need to behave the way they ask you to behave. And human beings jump to it without any discernment. Right, somebody else get in here and speak to me. If you don't, I'm just going to keep fucking rambling. What do you want me to speak about? Any suggestions? I'm not making any of the mods. Creating mods just causes problems. If you're not going to join me, what do you want me to talk about? I got my government letter, yes. Not knowing who we are exactly. If we don't know who we are and where we came from and why it's all here, then that's just the fucking sad state of affairs, isn't it? 2020 vision, Veronica. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe there's a spiritual awakening. Maybe the good angels are winning the battle. And the good angels is revealing all. Yes, watch it smoky in here. Can't come in because I'm smoking. I'm smoking. I'm smoking, you need to get out. Go. I don't want you to get... Listen, come here. I don't want you to get the smoke, so go now.
No.
Yes.
No.
Go now. See, big scary bastard me, ain't I? The 3-year-old, total defiance, nah.
Yeah.
Right, go. Go and get mum. Tell mum I'm going to batter her. Tell mum she's getting it. Go. Go tell her. Go on. Right, come here. Come here. It's too smoky in here. I'll be back in a minute. That was the same what we were talking about. Well, I think the majority is just friendly and kind at heart. You know, and as I say, I don't focus too much on that because there's too many fucking morons, and in my life I've always played my cards close to my chest, and especially when you're online here. You know, the beginning of this journey on YouTubes and whatever, it was just a bombardment of fucking liars, manipulators, deceivers, left, right and centre. And for me it was important to show people that you can take all that. You can stand there in defiance and say fuck you. Right? But there is always the other side to me. I'm only that in regards to, you know, morons. People that want to take liberties. Bullies, liars. And you should be having the exact same attitude. A zero tolerance for any of it. And I don't mean unhinged, emotionally impulsive, unbalanced anger either. No, righteous anger. And the majorities are kind at heart and compassionate. So it's about time people started to fucking display it and stop, you know, letting yourself be gaslit, lapsing into Stockholm syndrome because a few have the fucking reins. And human beings are now at the point where they're too scared and petrified to just display what's really there. Because what? It's a sign of weakness. It's a sign of weakness to have all your emotions in balance, to be embracing every aspect of yourself. That's what's been done to you. Been told that you're nothing, you're this, that and the other, and then society has projected up these expectations of you and tried to dictate and moderate behaviour. As I said the last time, what are we talking about governance for? Who are these fucking creepy cretins? Anybody that tries to govern subjectivity should be fucking hung instantly. Criminality, i.e. imposing upon another's free will is criminal. Let's not call it Illuminati, Freemasons, any of this stuff. It's criminality in my book. And you can identify it by having this operating properly. What we have now as judicial systems and what we call law, it's just a fucking shambolic mess. We've got fucking cretins running about that are part of their own wee order called the Law Society, with their own fucking set of rules and languages and this, that and the other. And they're using that to perpetuate their own little fucking agendas. See lads, as I say, you don't even have any creativity. If you want to try and troll properly, I can give you some lessons. But by making yourself obvious, you're not achieving it, and try and be clever about it. So I would like to see a revolution. I would like to see a revolution of the heart. I'd like to see the fucking good in people stepping up to the mark. With no ego. Nobody coming with wee fucking hidden agendas. Just doing the right thing and standing up for what's right. Food, water and electric. As much as I'm all for activism, stuff like that can be used against us. So I'd be very careful of that. I don't pay anything. Start asking people whether they think they've got the right to fucking rule anybody. John, I feel there is no doubt this place is constructed by beings with intelligence. This has the effect of causing gratitude toward them. Although in that we may not find out why. Gratitude towards them for what, John? Gratitude towards them for what? We're back to this life is special, life's a gift crap. Is it? How did we establish that? See, this is what I'm saying about how quick it is for human beings just to jump into some bias or some concept or something that sits right with their fuses or whatever. I don't have any gratitude to any of them. I don't have any gratitude for this. I've seen this 5 Artes Liberalis. That's what I'm talking about. If people established for a fact what's going on with these things. Either ascend or descend. Ascend to what? Ascend to where? And what? Ascend back to your higher self. Your higher self is somewhere else, and you need to connect and ascend back to it. What, we're talking fucking schizophrenia here? Huh? Split personality disorders? Could be a crop for what though? Learn about ourselves. Like what? Neil Williams. You know, I'm interested. People make these statements and I just ask the questions. Learn what? About yourself. What is it you need to learn about yourself that you didn't know when you were a child? The only thing you learn is how to deal with different situations that are, you experience. But again, then we're back to the point. Okay, so people are going to suggest that you come here to this reality, you learn these lessons, and then you move on to somewhere else, and what you take the lessons you learned here to the next experience. So like you're building up a catalogue, a repertoire. Alright, when I go to the next dimension, I'll not fall into that pit hole because I learnt that in my last life. Then you're into the realms of insecurity and certainty again. So we're back to the same point. Whatever gave rise to this is something that's infinite and eternal. So what are you trying to then achieve? Some certainty that you're going to gather enough experiences, enough lives to have a picture of the full thing. Well, then you're back to seeing something defined again as a full picture, which means it deflates the whole first premise. And for me, it is the only premise, because if you're going to start invoking finite stories, you're only always going to end up at an infinite regress again. Because if something's finite, beginning and end, it must be taking place somewhere. Something gave rise to it. So then you go to that point, well, what gave rise to the thing that gave rise to that? Something must have gave rise to it. And it just goes back to the same point again. This is the problem. You can be aware that you're part of that, but to try and intellectually or somehow box it and understand it fully is a futile exercise. And when I hear these stories of, you're here to learn this lesson and that lesson and blah, 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 what to carry it into, where? That to me is insecurity, that you're terrified and scared of no having certainty, that you're terrified and scared of no having the identity that you identify with right now, and that you want to gather wee pictures so you can map out the entirety of eternity. I mean, that's never going to happen. And we're also back to the point again. Infinite and eternal. Can't take anything away, can't add anything new. So, your experience in here is somehow going to transform some other area or space or add something. I mean, if you're part of the infinite and the eternal, the only thing that you can do as a consciousness, some pocket of sentience, is make discoveries. You're just an infinite explorer making discoveries. But you're only going to get the stimulus for that moment, and then you'll move on. Exactly, high level awakening. For me, there's tools that you can utilise here. You have a will, and you can direct that and put it to whatever you want. Different experience can affect different people and their will, send them on tangents. And if you have enough will and determination, you can achieve anything, regardless of who is the onlooker viewing you and your actions and your behaviours as good, evil, right, wrong, or any of that stuff. It makes no difference. So if you've got the will to rule 1 million people, if you've got the will to rule 1 million people and make them believe things, make them believe absurdities, to self-serve you and your needs and your wants and your desires or whatever it may be, then you will achieve it. That's what happens here in this reality. That's what you observe constantly. But the minute you cut yourself off from that and put yourself in a position of being a victim with no power, and then you start to entertain notions of invisible forces making decisions, and you just, all it does is make you apathetic and lazy. Well, you sit back and wait for your projected, will onto some imaginative being to manifest and make it happen for you. Well, there's people utilising their will, and as I say, regardless of how you view that, whether you think it's evil or wrong or whatever, they're still using the very same tools that you have. But they've convinced you not to use the tools. Convinced you to disconnect yourself from it. Under the guise of some religious dogma, doctrine, that you've to moderate your behaviour and you've to do this, that and the other, and sit back and turn the other cheek and be. Or make wishes to the universe and all this gibberish. The rulers of kingdoms sit and make wee sigils and pray to imaginary invisible beings? Or do they follow their will and utilise their determination, projecting goals and fucking aiming for them? I know that's scary for people because everybody wants justice, because the world seems unjust and horrible, which it is. That's why I continually refer to it as an abomination. There's no way to convince me to get on board with this reality and say it's beautiful, because it's fucking no beautiful. If I was to ask the majority of people to describe hell, they would probably describe this place and not even realise they had described it, because they're too in here, full of fantasy and bewilderment. As I say, we've got the power here. We can make it less brutal. We can make it compassionate. We can make it fun. We can make it whatever the fuck we like. But if you continually be apathetic and live in the realm of fantasy, waiting to be saved, nothing's ever going to change. Opportunists are going to continually prey on your apathy. want everyone to be vaccinated, that's becoming clear, and maybe there's in preparation for us all to be chipped so you can be scanned wherever you travel in the world by 5G technology. Well, I'm pretty sure, Maria, that there is people that have ideas and thoughts like that. But there's other people in positions that don't have the same ideas and thoughts. And again, these may be offered to you, but it's your choice. None of that can ever be imposed on you. It'll always be your choice to participate in it. You'll always have an option. We can see these things playing out right now. You've got Trump, vying for, production of hydro, whatever the fuck it is, something, the Queen, I don't know the name of the drug. And you get Bill Gates talking about vaccinations. It's a market for these people. They're creating a market. Gene, you want to chat? Exactly. This is how they manufacture consent. Create situations, gaslight people, prey on their fear, and then they get the result they wanted out of it. We need to start using that thing they call consciousness. Hello.
Hiya.
How's it going?
Oh, not bad. So we've got problem, reaction, solution on our hands then. They created a problem, they're looking at the reaction of the sheeple, and they'll offer us all a solution. Yeah, it's a bit dire.
It's always the same, isn't it? It's always the same.
Yeah. Hang on, I'll pop the camera on. Don't look very pretty. Been in the garden. Yeah, this, oh God, Simple Simon says clap your hands.
Yeah.
And we don't hear that here, obviously. Nobody's clapping. Because we've got no neighbours to listen to clapping, but I know they're all doing it.
Yeah.
And I've seen Facebook posts of people, they've done videos of their streets and things, and it's really quite scary that that we have as a country, as a race, as just like you say, a sentient being.
Yeah. You don't realise that they could have that good time and fun with each other and socialise and have communities without any governments or anybody to dictate and tell them when they can or when they can. You'd think this would be the wake up call for them, but it's like they're helpless without somebody directing them. They just don't have the ability to reason with themselves and have their own discernment. It really is a fucking sad state of affairs, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Anthony went into Tesco's yesterday and bumped into somebody he knew, and she sort of put her arm forward. It was an employee, and she said, "I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to chat with you." And that was it. She walked off.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what the hell's going on? You know, no cars on the road. I don't know, Dal, I really don't. All I'm focusing on is the positives in this.
Yeah.
We're getting ourselves just sorting out stuff that we haven't got round to doing. Anthony can't work. There's no suppliers open. And even if he could, there's, as I said, the last time I spoke to you, there's too many people out there happy to pick up a phone. I don't know. I really don't know. I fear for people like yourself with small children. I really do, because
I don't have any fear. I don't have any fear.
No, not fears for you. Sorry, that's the wrong word. How are you going to explain it to them?
Well, there's nothing to explain right now because they're just children. They don't have the baggage that us adults have, and obviously it's too early to tell what's going to happen here and what direction this is going to go in. And this is the problem. Everybody should be utilising their time right now and using it wisely. But people are in a frenzy of guessing games, throwing, misinformation at each other, all sorts of different theories, left, right and centre, and consuming themselves to the point of anxiety in regards to what's going to happen here next. And for me, I've just got a quiet calm. I don't have any anticipation. I don't have any fear or anxiety. It's just a kind of, well, things are peaceful right now. There's no any expectation. There's no any real stress. So use it wisely, and that for me gets you preparation for whatever may come. We can guess. As I said the last time, it's fine to entertain so many different possibilities, but to harbour them and to adopt them and to share them everywhere as if it's facts, it's absolutely pointless. Right now, for me, I've always been kind of good at, seeing the pattern and maybe making a wee prediction and where things are going to go. But right now, I don't have anything because it's so uncertain.
No, I'm with you there. I mean, we sat down today and said, okay, let's do a plan. And, I said, I can plan to do all sorts of things, but how long has that plan got to be for? Is it 3 months? I mean, there's loads of people saying, it's great, I've got a 3-month mortgage holiday. But what they don't realise is not just the fact they're going to have to pay it back at the end, but that affects their credit rating.
Well,
so they screw you again if you've got a mortgage.
That's if they continue with the new system, but for the old system. But the old system's irreparable as far as I'm concerned. There's no way to, as I said before, you can't just seamlessly go off from where we stopped. It has to be a reset.
Yes, it does.
And as I've been talking about, and a few other people of the same ilk, it feels like we're entering into some sort of phase of communism. And as I said before, the way that people experienced communism before was maybe a bit negative because of obviously the way it went down. But as a way of living, it's not really that bad. It kind of equalises everybody and removes the hierarchy and the stature in society. And a lot of people are probably get upset with that because they've accumulated so much and they're scared of losing it and whatever else. But it just feels to me as if that's what we're entering into right now, and it has to be. If there's going to be a reset, then we're going to have to live like that for a wee while.
Do you not think that a possibility could be a complete split? So there's no longer, an elite, an upper, a middle, a working, a ground level. There'll be literally those with and those without. Do you think that is a possibility?
Sorry, say that again, Gene.
So instead of having class strata, so instead of having elite, working class, lower class, etc., that it could be literally those with and those without.
Well,
so you talk about a revolution. What I'm saying is that I think is the point it has to get to for the majority of people to take action.
Well, as I said before, any system is going to end up corrupting. We're going to end up in the same situation of an imbalance because we're basing things on a system of like fiat currency or some sort of currency rather than trading on resources. If we don't just trade, if it's not a trade on resource, then we're always going to end up with an imbalance, which means that you're going to end up with extremely rich people and extremely poor people. And that for me is where you try and appeal to the basics of human beings with their heart and their compassion. We should never allow an atrocity like that ever to happen. We should never allow one person to be homeless or, in dire straits ever. So if people keep allowing governments to lobby and private investors and private interests to creep in, then we're always going to end up in this situation. So for me, it's to be embraced right now, because we could see the disparity. You could see the extreme wealth. I mean, you've got extreme wealth side by side with extreme poverty on the very same street, or no far away from each other. Now that eventually that's going to come to a head. It's going to have to erupt and collapse at some point.
So there are issues though with what you're talking about, in as much as the reset would have to happen. I don't even know how to put it into words, because there's so many people don't know how to do. And what I mean by that is, the majority, I think, of the population have the ability to listen to somebody else say, do it this way. Mm-hmm. And they got no, no thought of initiative. And so when you talk about that kind of, and I won't use the word utopia, but in a way it has to be, because when you start moving outside of a small group of people who are all willing and on the same page to live and work together and be as equal as you say, then when you extend that beyond, you start talking about things like supply chains, and not as major corporations, but simply the way of getting my eggs to the next hamlet.
That's my point, Gene, because if we're talking about utopias, for me, how if I'm thinking about, if I was inclined to fix the whole problem, my mind can go there. But for me, to fix it, you need self-sufficiency, you need self-dependency. That's the only way to eradicate any of that ever creeping in. Because if you don't, you breed dependency, and then you've got supply, as you say, supply chains. You've got somebody that's got the upper hand on one aspect of a particular market or whatever it may be. But if people are self-sufficient and self-dependent, then that's the only way for me that you can ever break out of it, because any system is always going to have corruption. It's always going to end up unbalanced unless you have stringent, strict measures in place to deal and eradicate any time it creeps in.
But then you come to the question of who decides on those measures. Who decides
it's
on
not so much a who. It's not so much a who. As I say, if we understand the human mind, if we understand language, I've spoke about it here on this channel so many times. We can use logic. We can apply, ourselves to the language. We can see and identify when manipulation's coming in, when we're appealing to fallacious reasoning or fallacious logic or any of this stuff. So for me, that's the decider. It's not up to one individual or a group or a committee or any of that kind of stuff.
But this isn't going to happen.
No, because we're talking ideal here. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we're talking ideal. If I'm going to project my ideal, then that's what I'm talking about right now. But we're not in an ideal. So this is what I'm saying. It's so uncertain, and the issue for me is that it's going to end up as some other system, and eventually through time we're just going to end up back at the same position we're in right now, unless strict measures are put in place to avoid it as much as we possibly can.
Obviously, I live where I live, and I don't, under normal circumstances, interact with a lot of people. But do you see from where you are and people that you know, or are able to not interact with, but have an idea of how they might think, that people will get comfortable with this way of living?
Yeah, and that's the thing. They will get comfortable, but again, are people going to use the time wisely, or are people going to fall into alcoholism, other drug abuses, other issues? Because that's what I see the majority of people doing right now. They're quite content to sit about getting full of alcohol and whatever their other vices are, and they're not really using their discernment. They're not using the time wisely. So I don't know.
See, that's what I mean about the fact that I can't see any reset or starting again. Cynical as it may be, I don't see it being coming out of this good for anybody who's awake, because I think people who are awake are going to really struggle with the way I feel that it's heading.
Yeah.
And again, I'm very privileged to be physically located where I am, because those I won't have as much interaction with, for example, where you are. The policeman waved to us. Anthony saw one car on the road today, and it was a police car, and he waved to him. And again, it's such a different way of life. I do struggle to even get a handle on the reality of what people living in towns are going through, because I don't even see empty streets or full streets. I have to travel to go to a street, and it's almost like it's not happening.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of surreal.
It is, because I'm still working, but at home. So that's not unusual. I've worked from home before.
Yeah.
The only odd thing is that Anthony's here all the time, but he's out in the garden, or he's in the workshop or whatever. So it's not that far removed from our normal life at the moment.
Yeah.
But it will be. It will start to have an impact. Just from simple things like not being able to meet bills.
Yeah.
But again, it does feel really surreal.
But that's part of the uncertainty. And again, we're talking about, the elites or people with wealth, and people have got the tendency to think that all these people all have the same goal, they're all under the same agenda, and I don't see it like that either. Right now we could be witnessing a breakdown amongst these people, and there may be different factions vying for different things to want to take things a different direction, and that's what I mean right now. For me, it's so uncertain. I really don't have a real grasp on what's going on. I can see possibilities of what can come out of this, and where they could maybe try and take it, whatever else, people with different agendas, but I really don't know. I don't know what the future holds here. I'm in kind of limbo land right now. And as I say, I'm the same as you. You wake up every day and it's like surreal. It's like, is this really happening? And
It is, because as a child, I went through being taught about what would happen, for example, if a nuclear bomb went off. And, it's, at the moment, it just feels a bit like, what's that film, 28 Days Later or something, where the guy wakes up in a empty hospital and empty town.
Yeah.
And again, I just find, how did we get to this point? How did they do it to us?
Apathy.
For fuck's sake,
We've done
how
it to
did they
ourselves.
do it?
We've done it to. Don't give them that much credit, Gene, because people done it to themselves. Apathy and ignorance can produce results like this. You don't have to be a fucking, a brain box to for any of this to come about. This for me is a result of apathy and laziness. This is not a result of, deep intellectual thought and fucking reasoning. It's apathy and laziness preyed upon by opportunists.
Yeah, it is.
And then these opportunists who have no intelligence, that are pure selfish, sociopaths, psychopaths, whatever, can gather, huge amounts of wealth and put themselves in certain positions. Because
I had
an
an interesting conversation with my boss, who decided to raise a conversation that we'd had several months ago, where I was just discussing with him the possibility of me cutting down to 3 days a week. And it was something that this April we would have decided whether that was going to happen, and obviously given the circumstances. And he actually phoned me to ask me if I was still going to go part-time. I was astounded because this guy's got a pension fund that his retirement fund is just staggering. And I was like, you're asking, well, I was speechless, but I made it quite clear that that wasn't going to happen. But again, you know, what's going to happen? I don't know.
No.
What's going to happen to people who will never get back to work?
But why is that a good thing, Gene?
It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all, except for the fact that a lot of people have nothing else, and they don't know how to find anything else because they've never been shown or allowed.
Human beings will adapt to whatever situation they're in. We've shown that so many times, and that, you know, that concerns me even more. I don't want this just to get back to normal the way it was. I mean, people like me were crying out for it to fucking crumble, because it's just a horrific way for human beings to be involved in their life. You know, the majority.
Yes, I agree.
The vast majority of people they're not in a position of waking up every day and doing something that they've got their heart invested in and that they fully enjoy, and that they get a reciprocal kind of relationship where they've got an input and an output, and it's healthy for them. The majority, it's dysfunctional and unhealthy. So, you know, and I hear that, I just laugh now when I hear people say, "I can't wait till it gets back to normal," and I'm like, that shows you how dysfunctional and far removed people are, that they're calling the way of life that they had before normal. You know, they don't realise that they just adapted to that and became used to it. It became habitual. And
yeah, I was about to say they want to get back to their routine.
Aye, back to their ritualistic habitual behaviour, you know, because that's what they know. They become comfortable in it. You see that even in an individual sense. It's like if you've got a stone in your shoe and you don't take the stone out, eventually you'll just get used to walking or limping a particular way. You adapt. You know, you make yourself comfortable in whatever environment or set of circumstances you find yourself in.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned. There's obviously going to be whatever happens, there will be an unsettled period, but that's not going to last forever. That's just the turmoil part. And you know, if we're going to have a new way of life, there has to be disruption. You know.
Do you think that out of this, people will become more questioning or more obedient?
I don't know. I see variances in it. You know, like, I think it's a good thing that people now are, you know, it's like they have to be forced into it, but there's manners. You know, keeping your distance from people and you know, respecting other people's personal space and these types of things. It's kind of forced people to be mindful and respectful of each other. You know.
Well, I kind of liken the behaviour of the government to a parent putting the child on the naughty step.
It's kind of like that.
And they're not allowed off now until they learn how to behave properly.
Yeah.
There's
no, even in the roads when you're saying it's quiet, people even there are more polite, courteous. That's what I'm kind of experienced. Whereas a few weeks ago, I couldn't go out at busy times because it's just road rage, ignorance, and everybody busy bee getting to their fucking dead end job and ignoring everything else in their path, and that's all ceased right now. You know, and it's kind of good.
I will tell you, Anthony did say that apart from when he passed the copper, he drove it down the middle of the road all the way to Loch Gilphead and back.
Exactly.
And parked the car, the van, as he put it, at a rakish angle. He said he felt very rebellious doing it because it's not his normal behaviour.
Good on you, Anthony, a bit of edge there.
He's not. I don't know if he's listening. I don't know what he's doing actually. He's probably disconnecting from reality again because he does tend to listen to the broadcasts from the government. Yeah. They do a broadcast or something, and I sometimes hear it and deliberately put my headphones in because after listening for 5 or 10 minutes, you realise they're not saying anything. And that's what I find very annoying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if they were saying something, but they're just speaking words.
Yeah.
And yeah, so going back to obedience and yeah, putting the population on the naughty step. There's a lot to be said for it. I'm hearing a lot that in, not necessarily mainstream, but I have seen it touched on, that there are people being still prosecuted for stuff not behind the scenes, but it's very quiet in the news. So people are still being, when I say people, those that are in the levels above us that pull strings. So there are people still getting knuckles wrapped.
Yeah.
And I think that is encouraging. Or is it just, again, stuff that's put out there to fill up the paper a little bit, or the headlines, so it's not all coronavirus? I don't know. As you say, there's so much we're not told. There's so much we're told that we're only told a bit that's real and the rest isn't.
Well, that's another aspect that fucking annoys me. I can't be bothered. Why do we have media and these types of things? We should never allow any of that to happen either. We should be utilising these things for problem solving and sharing information with each other. I don't need to know about, some other woman or man's business, or, what crime they've committed or whatever else. We shouldn't really lend our attentions to any of these things. I'm not interested, to be honest with you.
No, and there's a lot of this, lots of pictures of, oh look, these people were on this beach and didn't the police do a wonderful job moving them along? And the man with the loud hailer who's just got to hide his jacket on says that it's guidance.
Right.
It's government advice. Well, I've always listened to advice, but it doesn't mean I have to take it.
No.
Thank you very much.
Exactly.
And move on. But that isn't really what's happening here. And again, that's something else that concerns me, because I never thought... I saw police overstepping the mark and abusing their powers back in the 70s. And I was only a teenager then. Now, I see it done with almost glee on the part of the establishment. And that, for me, rings huge alarm bells. That we've created a monster to rule us. That's what we've done.
Yeah.
And we've allowed it to happen for centuries.
Yeah.
If centuries are to be believed, but certainly in my lifetime, I've seen a huge difference in the way politics is done.
It's crept in with the advent of radio and TV. Without these devices, none of this would ever have been achieved. That's the problem that we have. They've got this military device that's in everybody's living room and direct into their consciousness.
My dad made us limit television, and we weren't actually allowed to have a television until I think I was 12 or 13. And I did the same with my daughter. I chose what she could watch. And that was it. And, it wasn't a case of I want to watch this. If it wasn't something I'd approved, then it wasn't watched. And we eventually got rid of our television. And as you know, we've not had one for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
But my father was right when he said, you don't need that. You live on a farm. You've got all this stuff.
Yeah. That's just sorry, just to interject. I mean, when I went out today, going back to what you were asking about people living in the towns and cities, I went the back road and there was so many people. I couldn't believe there's a small road that connects two parts here, kind of local to me, and I've never seen so many people on this road ever in my life. And everywhere I'm going, I'm seeing people. Even at the spare ground down there, used to be a race course, horse racing. So busy. People are out, people are, getting exercise, spending time with their family, exercising their animals. I don't know. There is benefits to this. Sorry to interject. I don't know where you were going.
No,
with that.
no, and I agree with you totally. But I was just going back to the television and the way it's become programming and the cinema. Again, I mean, I don't even want to touch on Hollywood, but I remember when when computers first came into places like universities and ultimately then workplaces, and then when the internet arrived, and I remember saying, this will be the end of libraries.
Yeah.
This will be the end of people buying books and reading books. This will be the end of people thinking.
Yeah, of course.
Because they don't need to think anymore. And it has become a monster.
Yeah.
It is a monster.
Yeah.
But without it, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Which it's a double-edged sword. It really is a double-edged sword, because I couldn't do, well, I say I could do my job now, but it wouldn't be done in the same way if I didn't have the internet. But it's just, our lives are so intertwined with things that we hate.
Yeah.
I hate computers, I really do. I resisted a smartphone for the longest time. In fact, it was your bloody beyond the imaginary curve of wanting to not pinch Anthony's iPhone to watch you and stuff. That was it. It was like wanting to be able to sit and chat and talk to people that made me say, okay, I'll have a bloody smartphone. But I don't really need it. We don't need these things.
Nope.
It would mean people would have a huge change, but they really don't need them.
Mm-hmm. No, it's you can see the positives, you can see the negatives. Communication between people becomes, the fakery is ramped up even more. Because you can be anybody you like online. You can project any persona you want, and fakery and bullshit you like, and there's so much of that going on. There's much shit that's dysfunctional. But in regards to the useful aspects of it for, information, useful knowledge that you can maybe partake in your own life, as I say, there's nothing that you'll know for anything you can think of, in regards to fixing some aspect of your home or your car or, whatever, necessity you have. I'm sure you would find it on here. And for that purpose, it's great,
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't, because I often watch himself Googling YouTube stuff just specifically to look at different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And, I will have mentioned something to him and he'll come back and say, I know how to do that now.
Exactly.
I know what I need, la-da-da,
Exactly.
and Bob's your uncle and it's sorted.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's great. We used to have that knowledge, or a certain amount of those sort of knowledge is passed on to us by, grandparents, parents, communities.
Yeah. But as soon as we allow an authority to take hold in, particular avenues to be the go-to avenue and whatever else, then, we're asking for it. It needs to be a free-for-all. And, nobody has the upper hand in regards to, media. As I say, everybody clambers. They go and buy the newspapers in the morning. They switch on to BBC News or some mainstream, aspect, and this is where they're getting their scope on life and all that kind of stuff. So that if that stuff went away, then it would be less of an issue, I think. But
I have been sharing a few videos that I don't think will upset my sister and a friend of mine too much. And you know what? They've been well received. And it's just little things that you don't get on. They won't see stuff about it on mainstream news. Nothing about Flat Earth, nothing about conspiracies, but just stuff from other parts of the world that I know full well. The beloved BBC or ITV or Radio 2 won't tell them about.
Yeah.
So again, it's stuff like that which I'm finding is more. It's not really pushed away.
No. And the
Because of the
opportunities,
situation, they are open to looking and reading and watching something.
but the opportunity's there for people in different parts of the pond to communicate with each other and find out exactly what's going on in their vicinity, their culture, you know. But that's the thing. People keep looking to the who has the upper hand, the big wig. Oh, BBC, I'll listen to them because they've got it down. No, speak to Joe Bloggs, who you can go on a Skype call with, that lives in the heart of the place, and they'll tell you exactly what's going on, you know? So.
Yeah. And again, this is something that I've tried to tell people, you know, well, have you actually sort of looked at any civilian journalists? What are they?
Exactly.
Like, it was, you know, sort of independent journalists, people who just go out and video stuff and then
Exactly.
put it online, and they just didn't have a clue that this existed.
Yep.
Which again, I just find, well, if I didn't have the internet, I wouldn't know it. Didn't know it existed. So again, the good and the bad of the.
But again, it comes back to it comes back to the individual being intellectually honest with themselves. You know, if they're not experiencing it directly, it's always going to be second-hand information. So what they need to be aware of is why they would incorporate it into their system, you know, their mind. Is anything relevant at all? I have to ask the question, where is the necessity? What drives that want other than just pure nosiness? You know, but what use is it? It's of no relevance to me whatsoever, you know, unless I can experience it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so that's what I'm saying. It always comes back to the individuals again. That's what the problem is. You know?
Well, it is, but I mean, from my experience, being an individual isn't a very good thing in this day and age, and hasn't been for a long time. If you're not part of mainstream, if you don't live mainstream, if you do something slightly off the curb, you know, if you don't walk in a straight line, then
in behaviour terms, but you know, use an individual, your internal subjectivity, your own identity, you're in complete control of that. So, you know, as I say, it's like I told that to my daughters when Morgan, when she was getting into the high school. Look, you know, you want to get through this, you've got your goals, so take what you want from it and always be aware of what you're partaking in. You know, you have the choice. You don't have to, you know, walk the line that they're asking you to walk, but as long as you know internally that you are participating in that and that it's not an automated type behavioural response, then I think it's a different relationship that you're having with these things, you know?
Yes, I agree, and that's how I approach my work.
Same with me. I pick and choose. I know where my safe space is. I know how to maintain my own health, my own inner being, and I have to, you know, make my situation that way in order to accommodate that. You know, it's about knowing who you are. So.
Do you not find that? See, I find that if I have a contrary opinion, just in the very small circle of people that I interact with, then that isn't considered to be a good thing.
No. Well, and that's the problem in it, because people are attached to others. You know, and I can only speak
they're attached, though, I think, to the fear of not wanting to be different.
Yeah, but
and that's a big difference to being just a sheep.
And that's where it comes to the individual. You know, this is where mavericks and rebels and people that change things by just going, fuck you. I don't need you or anybody else, and I'm going to walk my walk regardless. But that's, everybody's situation's different. People are in a different place internally themselves. They maybe don't have that strength, you know, whatever. But people are making the excuses for themselves. People are being passive, people are being apathetic, and finding whatever, the majority of people are dysfunctional in their relationships, just, social interactions. It's just all projections and fakery, and finding your wee place within the group setting, and nothing's ever going to change unless you have that one person that stands up and says no. I always go to the man on the hill, the guy that's dancing alone on the hill. And it's not until the second person joins in, right? Because everybody's looking and going, oh, don't want to be that guy, look at him. As soon as the second person joins in, and then the third person, that's it, becomes a group, and then it snowballs, and everybody else starts to go, well, fuck it, let's just dance on the hill, But if we keep pandering to the already established dynamic, it's never going to change. So
I think that's where you get the term black sheep of families.
And that's where you get, the sacrifice aspect, because you're sacrificing your familiarity, your comfort blanket, your wee place within your group and whatever else. But sometimes these sacrifices have to be had. And for me it's easy because I've always lived like that. I've always identified the pressure of group and peer pressure and expectation, and it's never sat right with me. But that's
I must admit, thinking back through my life, I've only had a very few friends at a time. I've never been part of a big group of friends networking with loads of different people. To go into sort of a party and to know everybody for me would be an alien experience and not one that I would be comfortable with. So yes, I think.
Well, that's it. True friendship for me is, that altruistic, willing to help and do what needs to be done in order to alleviate each other's stresses and pains. That without any ulterior motives other than just that. That for me is what empathy is. I can identify that. I don't like it when it's happening to me. Therefore, I'm going to do whatever I can in order to alleviate that from somebody else. If we had that kind
of shame that that's not part of.
No, because this system that we're living in doesn't cater for it. We're in a survival of the fittest, Big Bang cosmology, fucking evolution nonsense. And that's the paradigm that everybody's operating in right now.
And that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
That is really the thing that it actually comes down to.
Yeah.
Because without that, so much of all this crap would just fall to dust. They wouldn't be able to hold it up.
And that mindset may be useful for in a situation of, that we would be in that situation where you had to survive. But we have intelligence. We're no living like out in the Serengeti where we need to hunt a gazelle and fucking, fend off other animals from stealing our food. We have abundance and we have access to that abundance and we have intelligence. We can utilise that intelligence and we can, spread it equally amongst everybody. So, but what we have is an abundance, still with the mindset of, survival of the fittest necessity. We don't have to have that. People have just been sold that idea.
I still don't think that people would. I still think there'd be a massive amount of people. Let's just say that that was it. The old life's gone, and it's everybody fend for themselves. And so many people would simply just curl up and die. It's a horrible thing to say, but
that's not what I would postulate, because I don't think that's what would happen. As I say, there'd be enough, maybe with the majority of the mindset as of right now, but this period allows them to see things differently. People have got no choice but to stick together and help each other out.
Do you think that the narrative that's being pushed is subliminally encouraging that, or do you think it is what it's purporting to be?
I don't know if it was intended for any of that, Gene. I kind of think that, I don't know, it's like the animals, the cattle are waking up to all different aspects, and there seems to be a bit of panic. I feel like a lot of this is just panicked and rushed, and they're pretty much flying by the seat of their pants. You know, again, don't lend too much credence to them, you know, having this preset plan like they're God
No, I don't
overlords
think they
and-
did. I think they're taking advantage of something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot to it like that, you know. But it's
I don't think this was at all planned, but having said that, there's a lot of stuff that I've yet to see the ultimate reason as to why it's happened
yeah.
come into play.
Well-
So things that look at the moment to me that they could have been pre-planned or in place prior to this kicking off.
Well, the Trackmatics just reminded me there of exactly that. That's one of the ways I see it. You know, they need us in a battle because then they can offer a control mechanism for that, because it comes back to that whole saying that rings with me all the time, that Obama, the average man and woman are too small, petty-minded to govern their own affairs. Well, if you can put us in a situation of conflict, you know, and lack, like if we start to see shortages in food, people are going to start to, you know, turn on each other, then, you know, all fucking hell's going to break loose. And then there's a fine mechanism for imposing some other new system. Because, look, we can't have this. Everybody's just disruptful and you know, running about like knuckle draggers. So, again, for me, it's just keep your wits about you and be aware of you know, how you're feeling and what you see happening with everybody else. Because if it does continue, then it is going to end up in a conflict situation, and maybe that is the desired goal, you know.
I'll leave you with this one, and this is for Kaz in chat. She put 2020 vision earlier on. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't see that. No, you can't.
What is it?
This is my journal, and the first page says March 20th, 2020, and at the side I put vision. I know. So, Kaz, that's what my journal's actually called, 2020 Vision.
Nice.
And I've been writing it since 20th of March, so I don't write in it every day, but it helps because it helps me keep a record in my head, written down, not in my head. And that's what I want. I want something just written down because I just feel that there's so much happening at the moment. One day I might get the opportunity to have questions asked by my granddaughter.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to say, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
I'll leave you with that.
cool. I would rather they didn't. I would rather they were just free, expressive children that didn't need to bother themselves with any of this fucking garbage. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Just like we wanted. Leave us to play, leave us to explore. What is all this rules and regulations? What the fuck's going on here? Who is imposing rules and regulations? Fuck off.
You know, I learned so many basic rules about physics, pulleys and pulls and balancers and all of that, just by playing in the haystack and in the hay barn, and
Of course.
it just all of that was. I learned that by practical playing.
That's one of the things I always want to say to people. Look, that you're spot on. By playing, you become practical. You understand your reality. The problem that people have is that they just don't have academic language. That's the difference. All they've done is made a system called academia of creating language and structures and patterns out of human beings playing and expressing through their experience. You know? So everybody has it. Everybody's got the capabilities and they have that ability to understand it. It's just that not everybody has the academic language. Not that it's a good thing, you know, but they just don't have that ability to express it through language in regards to academia. But we all have it, you know.
I tell you what, this fucking gravity got Anthony's back today when he was lifting rocks around the garden, fucking holding the bastards down. It was a real shitty time. Anyway, look forward to seeing you sometime.
No worries.
If ever you're out, you know where we are. You just need to. We will be here. We
Perfect.
will be here. Anyway, take care. Talk to you
too.
soon.
Take it easy, G.
Bye.
Cheers. John, maybe not gratitude, but an admiration of the ability to create a place as shit as it is. Well, the architecture, the design aspect, of course, but the contents, no. Scott, alright big man, hope you and family are well. It's purely subjective opinion. The Comet Atlas apparently won't hit Earth, which I believe. But in July, as Atlas dies down below the ecliptic, it looks like Earth will pass through the comet's tail. So hopefully the most we on Earth will see is a superb meteor shower. Is that, I take it you're a globe Earth believer? Do you think the globe Earth's moving through the void? Said quite correctly there. There's too many variables for folks to freak out on. As an amateur into astronomy, I look forward to a nice display in the sky and not the Earth killer all the armchair experts predict. Do you have any thoughts on this subject, Del? I said it last time. Earth's a spaceship. And we're sealed in a contained spaceship. And it's us spaceship that's actually flying. And we're going to hit a big rock. I'm happy to call in if that works tonight. Things that are my mind. What's some flyers? Right. Diana. It's the link sent. What's going on in the chat? I think we had a globe troll. Globe Earth reality. Only as an abstract concept that exists on paper and in the minds of bewildered cretins. That's the only place the globe Earth reality exists. Sorry.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
All right, trying to survive through all this. Yeah, I just get the feeling that I just have to do something, you know, and I don't know what will help.
No.
You know, so I designed a sort of like a small poster just with words on it. I'm not someone who's I'm quite miserably, you know, poor at convincing people of anything other than that I might be mad, you know, when I try to put forward my viewpoints. So I'm you know, miles away from sort of persuading people, although occasionally when I'm with someone one-on-one, they'll sort of trust me based on just getting a feel for me, you know, that I'm not actually mad. But yeah, I feel like I need to do something, and so I you know, I wrote up a bunch of things like just to try to wake people up, some notes on a sheet of paper, you know, with words like virus and hoax in bold, to catch someone's attention, and then they could read, you know, the smaller print if that lured them or interested them. And I've been, you know, sort of putting them on trees and bulletin boards and lampposts and wherever. And you know, I've had occasion to walk or drive past, within 2 hours, and they're all gone.
Yeah.
Like people just tear them down.
Yeah.
I guess out of anger or disgust. I mean, because if you believe that the virus is real and that it's infectious, then I could see how that would be
Yeah.
really upsetting.
Well, the victims want to be virtuous and remain victims, and you're threatening that, you know?
Yeah, that too. I mean, yeah, but it's really difficult, and and there's a big part of me that's quite cowardly, even though that's not usually a word that I would describe myself as. But I'm quite afraid of confrontation,
Yeah.
and so I feel like a little bit like I'm secretively putting them up, and now hearing that they're considered. There's thoughts of imprisoning or fining, or charging people like as though it's a crime if they speak against the mainstream narrative, if that's true. I mean, I'm not listening enough to
Yeah.
really know. So I feel fearful of it. I have young children. I have a partner who's not awake and thinks I'm mad, and I have a lot of things on the line, but I feel I must do something.
Yeah. So I
And
feel
I'm
the
not
same,
sure.
and then I contradict it and think it's too far gone. People are too far gone. There's too much of a frenzy right now to even have any semblance of rational conversation with them. You know, they're in the frenzy of fear. You know, so.
Yeah, and it feels like those who are fooled by it all are afraid of the this virus, this so-called virus, and then those of us who know that that's not a fear. I mean, where I put most of my effort in the beginning was actually reading, like a paper by Stefan Lanka on the virus theory, and getting into that sort of. And so I knew I was completely calm in myself. I have no fear of some kind of contagious thing. But we have those who are awake have the fear of what is it really about? What's coming? It must be huge for them to have gone to this enormous effort. It must be just massive.
Exactly.
So that's I mean, people that in the sort of circles I'm in with my children in the community that I'm sort of, one of my children is in school and in a like a Steiner community.
Yeah.
And they'd be the first people you'd think that would be anti-vaccination. I mean, they are, and even Rudolf Steiner himself was one of the ones who said that a virus is the body reacting to poison, and cells reacting to poison. And I've actually learned quite a bit about that, and I find it fascinating. But anyway, in my little groups with the other parents of my youngest classmates, when I've put out some kind of just little 10-minute YouTube video with a quote from Steiner, thinking of how I would slide it in there because I could see all the fear, things being discussed. Not one person acknowledged it.
No.
Not one.
No. As I say, there's too much of a frenzy right now. They love it.
Yeah. Also on my Facebook account, which I haven't really touched much in 5 years. In 5 years, I've maybe posted twice or logged in 3 times, and posted twice. And the first time, a year ago about something that was benign, lots of replies and happiness that I hadn't been around in so long that I was posting something. And this time I posted something that was very scientific, very virus, an interview with 2 British authors of a book that explored viruses. And not one person, gives a thumbs up. It's dead silent.
Yeah. It's incredible.
It's, okay, so... What now?
That's the point I'm at as well, Diana. I mean, it's like I have that. I don't have any worry or anxiety. I'm just sitting back, preserving my energy and see where it goes. As I say, it's pointless even trying to speak to people because they're too enamoured by the fear and playing victim.
Yeah.
They're not interested. It's like.
I still feel like I should post notices.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed is useful is in just passing conversation is, maybe we could use this as a trend. Now we can stop the world for homelessness, we can stop the world for the flu, we can stop the world for anything we like right now. If we can stop it for this, we can stop it for anything. Just to try and put it into perspective for them. Like, hang on now, the amount of people that's dying of cancer every year, the amount of people that die in road accidents or house fires or whatever. Why do we not stop the world and put a stop to the rest of it?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Maybe that's what I should. I say.
I just feel right now it's too raw. There's too much of a frenzy, and the frenzy hasn't reached its peak yet. So trying to reason, what it's like. The unbalanced, unreasonable. How can you reason with them when they're operating from emotion continually? You can't have a reasoned conversation with these people, because it's emotional based fear and victimhood.
Sure is. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll still keep sticking things
Of course.
in places.
Right.
I often think that there might just be one person who suspects and they question or doubt themselves because everyone around them is fooled. But when they just hear that someone else,
Yeah.
they just see my notice and they hear that someone else is thinking this way, they might at least feel not so alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Although it's not like I put my contact details or any way to.
No.
I just put the idea out and the seed, plant the seed.
I've witnessed the power of that with the whole Earth thing and people making posters, spraying it in places, making truth cubes, people interacting in the street with each other. So it has its place, But I think right now the frenzy's too on, And obviously there's very little, traffic for anybody to see these things. So
yeah, that's also the case.
You'd need to target supermarkets. That's the best place right now.
Yeah, I haven't been to one of those. My partner does all the shopping.
Alright.
So
Figure out where the queue is and make sure you put it in the line so that they're seeing it as they walk into Asda or Tesco,
right.
You need to go under the cover of darkness if you're scared of confrontation right enough.
Yeah. Yes. Or with the disguise.
Well, you can put a mask on. There you go.
Try to change my accent. I'm rubbish at faking anything.
That's it.
I could try.
Right. Put a mask on and that's it.
Right.
I'd encourage people to put the message on the mask. If they're all wearing these masks, get them to put a message on the front of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was sort of attacked in Cambridge a few days ago, and verbally, by a woman with a mask who just saw me walking happily with my children. I was so happy because I hadn't been out in over a week,
Yeah.
And I was walking, I guess, just with an attitude of, that she wasn't expecting, and she just completely stopped me in the street and sort of cornered me. Stay back 2 meters.
Yeah.
But she was cornering us,
Yeah.
We couldn't get past her. And I felt, I was completely caught off guard. I wasn't expecting it at all. And I think I didn't feel good later about what I had said. I sort of said, you're brainwashed, and I was like,
right.
I felt really negative. I felt really defensive. And I said, you're brainwashed. And she started to shout more obscenities, and I'm not obscenities, but more insults.
Yeah.
And I just thought later, I wish I had just been prepared for it, because telling someone that, it isn't going to help. I don't know.
But that's the point I was
know.
making, that these self-righteous victims, they want the delusion to be real so much that you're a threat to it. It's you can't reason with these people. So why not just give them a bit of teeth back? If, as I say, they overstep the mark, they're the one that are trying to project it onto you. So if anybody tries that with me, they just get a fuck you, mind your own business,
Right. Okay. It's not my style, but
I can give you some online lessons at 20 quid an hour. if you want.
For me, it's more like me to say, I'm so sorry that you
No.
feel this way. I'm so sorry that you feel so, that you believe this.
Yeah.
And go in peace. I hope I hope you can see the truth. Goodbye,
Yeah. I know.
But
I
yeah,
mean, it's each to their own. That's a
Yeah.
good method. Any method. I mean, who knows? It's going to play out the way it plays out. I think, regardless of how we approach it.
yeah. I guess it's just to know how to deal with the things that come. Will there
Yeah.
be forced mandatory vaccines?
Yeah.
Or that you can't travel. That's
Yeah.
what I hear. If you don't have them, will I see my my mother
Yeah.
again? Because she's not in the UK, or whatever. All these sort of things that immediately affect my life. But I just feel like I just want to run off to the wilderness and find a tribe. I'd be happy to become a hunter gatherer and just.
Exactly.
I'd really love to be a real human, a human being living as we were meant to. And I often think, well, if I could get to Canada, at least there's a chance of that, a chance of escaping into the wilderness. But in the UK, it's so densely populated. There are no forests that you can retreat to or flee to if the system breaks down, And so that's a little bit unnerving. Makes me feel trapped. Not that it would be easy to survive.
Maybe that is
but at least you have a chance.
Exactly. And maybe that is a viable option if they ever try the whole vaccination thing, because I'm not going to be partaking in it. They're going to have to do it against my will. It's going to have to be under duress, and I'm going to have that documented that it's under duress. So if they think they can get away with forcing it onto you, then that's up to them. But I'll certainly never be willfully participating in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I'm just not willing to do at all, and I certainly don't want to see. Yeah.
Nah. That's
the family.
Exactly. So, just need to wait and see how it unravels, It's a waiting game right now. I was kind of hopeful that something big was going to come through the weekend. Still hopeful maybe something tomorrow, but we'll see.
What do you mean?
Just that,
something big.
Well, see, they're obviously preparing for something bigger. It's not just about this. And looking at things correlating, you were in a kind of religious, holiday period right now with some significance to it. I don't know if they would utilise that as a trigger for whatever they may be planning. I don't know.
Okay.
Just a thought,
Yeah, an answer coming, or.
Or the next move. I'm always looking. What's the next move? So.
Yes.
But you talk about the vaccines. I can see that you've got people. Trump's obviously opposed to Bill Gates, and I see it in his speeches. He's using kind of gestures. Whether he's doing it deliberately, but there's some NLP there when he's mentioning the therapeutics that he keeps talking about, and then when he mentions vaccines, he's got these kind of gestures of that's going to take time, and as if he's pushing it to the side. And so I don't know if these two factions are at war with each other, or in a battle for who's going to get the upper hand. Are the vaccines going to prevail, or is Trump's ideas of therapeutics, whatever it may be, is it hydrochloroquine or something, I think he's going on about?
Hydrochloroquine.
Aye.
Yeah.
So they're obviously at odds with each other for who's going to get the market.
Yeah, I have to say I haven't watched a lot, but my gut feeling about all that is it's all a show, all to keep us,
of course,
talking about, distracted from what's really,
but at the same
trying
time,
to make the story sound plausible.
Yeah,
it's not plausible that they would all agree.
But there's still a market opportunity. There is an opportunity here for competing factions. So say Bill Gates with the vaccine and whatever Trump's invested in with this hydrochloroquine or whatever it is.
Right.
So I don't think they're on in unison as people think they may be. I think they still have their selfishness, their want for more, and that means they'll shit on each other,
I guess that's possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big pantomime, regardless. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I'm always looking. As I say, I've paid very little attention, but recently I've been, because of this situation, I've been putting my attention a wee bit just to try and get a glimpse of possibilities of what's coming, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's
Cool. Well,
That's
cheers
it
for
for
coming
me.
on. As I say,
Yes.
we're all in the same position, so we still have the ability to communicate right now, and we can see how it's going to unravel.
Yeah, I wonder if there should be a backup plan if this platform is gone. Like, be good to have some kind of email group set up so that
Yeah.
some kind of dialogue could still take place. It'd be, I think, for some of us, we'd just all lose.
Yeah.
I don't communicate with anyone else behind the scenes. I'm quite isolated, so it would be a
Well,
pity to lose.
if somebody sets that up, I'll promote it and show that the option's there, but I'm not going to do any of that because it's techie and I'm
Sure.
scared.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll give it a little bit of thought, but I would hope someone else would step up to that as well. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens. There's no point in any stressing or worrying. We can only see how it goes. It's not in our hands anyway, you know. So the reaction's in our power, but what's going to be offered is not in our power at all, you know.
No, it's really wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about being a hunter-gatherer or a farmer.
Yeah, it'd be
I'm
great.
desperately trying to get chickens right now.
Aye. It'd be great.
So that just to have some food source in case,
Yeah, I know.
And
I know.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
all right.
cool. Cheers for coming on.
Okay, thanks.
Take it easy.
Take care.
See you soon. No worries, Scott. No worries. A last post get together again. Well, it's not going to be in the near future, is it? Well, we'll need to see how things unravel and we'll take it from there. Yeah, I don't have any other requests. I'm kind of debating myself whether I should do this, but we'll now, what's happening here in the chat box? Cool, she cats, how you doing, mate? You too, my man, you too. Pseudo reality, are you a globe proponent in here spewing pseudoscience crap? Your globe earth is a mathematical abstract concept used as a tool for navigating, and you don't understand that. So here you are telling everybody they live on an absurdity because you don't understand what the globe actually is. It's a wee shame for you. No, I've not heard of him, Eddie White. How you doing, Gary? The Queen's Easter speech. When did she do this? Party pack, was this evening? maps are just projections and they're all two-dimensional. So you can do whatever you like with maps. But navigation in regards to the stars, longitude and latitude are only like utilised for time, i.e. where the sun is, so that you know a particular place and position that you are. Latitude and longitude don't define the Earth's dimensions. They're tools for navigation, using what's above. The celestial sphere, again, is a concept for an individual, so that anywhere you move, it's based on human perception, your perspective of the world. Floor comes up, sky comes down, looks as if you're inside a wee dome. And everywhere you move, your dome moves. So if you imagine, you know, a rectangle that's above you, and you're looking at that rectangle and you can see all these constellations mapped out, but yet when you look at reality, that's not how you're seeing it. So you can say, okay, well this is at that angle and I'm in this vicinity, but you're only within that wee bubble, that sphere that's relative to your position. As soon as you move, your wee sphere moves with you, and then you can map the relationships between other celestial bodies. So I keep saying to these people, you know, sextants and, you know, astrolabes are plain tools. That you know, you can't apply triangles to curved surfaces. Nothing, it wouldn't work. So when they're using a sextant, they're taking the angle to a particular whatever it is they're going to use. That means it's calibrated to the level, because it's about your horizontal, so you've got a flat line in the bottom, and then your angle to whatever fucking star or luminary it is you're looking at. Draw a triangle on a sphere, does it add up to 180? No. Right. It's just simple. What was I going to do again? I was going to do something, I can't mind. I'll say something. Forget. Aye, this Queen's thing. Jed, how you doing if that is you? Same to yourself, hope everything's well. If it is you, there's spammers in the fucking chat, so I don't know if it is. Why is that not giving me the option of go to channel? Aye, party pack, it was this Queen's speech thing, when was it done? So the reality, you've got nothing to come back, you can just fuck off, son. You've got nothing. Queen has left the building. It's audio in, came up in my feed, it's in The Guardian. Wait a minute. See if I can get this. The Queen's Easter message.
Many religions have festivals which celebrate light overcoming darkness. Such occasions are often accompanied by the lighting of candles. These seem to speak to every culture and appeal to people of all faiths and of none. They are lit on birthday cakes and to mark family anniversaries, when we gather happily around a source of light. It unites us. As darkness falls on the Saturday before Easter Day, many Christians would normally light candles together. In church, one light would pass to another, spreading slowly and then more rapidly as more candles are lit. It's a way of showing how the good news of Christ's resurrection has been passed on from the first Easter by every generation until now. This year, Easter will be different for many of us, but by keeping apart, we keep others safe. But Easter isn't cancelled. Indeed, we need Easter as much as ever.
No, that's a necessity. Don't get fucking near any of your elderly relatives or get any stimulus, exercise, physically, mentally. Nah, fuck that. Buy chocolate. Buy chocolate and sit in the house, watch the telly.
The discovery of the risen Christ on the first Easter day gave his followers new hope and fresh purpose, and we can all take heart from this.
You'd think that would never be forgotten. Oh, fucking me, fucking supernatural events have happened to you. A guy we fucking absolutely brutalised, nailed to a fucking cross, has somehow came back to life. We better start behaving ourselves. They didn't get the fucking message, did they?
This. We know that coronavirus will not overcome us. As dark as death can be, particularly for
I always
those
wonder if they're talking about something about the sun when they keep mentioning this fucking thing.
suffering with grief, light and life are greater. May the living flame of the Easter hope be a steady guide as we face the future.
Aye, don't use discernment, don't use critical thought, just whimsically stare into a fucking candle and imagine stuff says, oh, I'm going to be saved because I stared into the light. The fuck is she rambling about?
I wish everyone of all faiths and denominations a blessed Easter.
Ah, so you do. Couldn't give a fuck. Could not give a fuck. Stop telling lies. World's a shithole, poverty and fucking deprivation everywhere. We've got to gather round and stare into the candle. Might as well pop The Secret on while we're at it. Make out our wish list to the universe and all that stuff. She's, oh, we're all united in the candle, peering into the flames. Totally and utterly, Mike White. I don't know what that means, Matthew. It's the same again. I sat the other day and I went, right, I'll put the Book of Revelation on, and I get 2 minutes into it and I'm scratching my head going, what the fuck are these talking about here? I don't know, I just don't get all that abstract fucking stuff. It's probably just a flaw on my part, maybe. Why is it not just fucking said direct? Here's how it fucking is. If you asked me how to fix the exhaust on your motor, and I started coming out with, he giveth and showeth in the twilight of the bewildering, and the bush spoketh unto thee that ye must take the nut of the greateth and ram it in the testicalis areas. I mean, what the fuck does that mean? Just fucking say how it is. I'm sick and tired of this ambiguous fucking mystical fairy language. It does my tits right in. 2 fucking minutes. I'm scratching my head. Fucking eyes are gone together. What's happening to me? I'm still waiting somebody that can come and just fucking say, this is what it's actually saying, as clear as fucking day. But as soon as somebody comes and says that, somebody else goes, no, you've misinterpreted that. You that's wrong because the Hebrew stuff's in fucking... languages that nae cunt speaks. But yet you've got people that live these days going, I've decoded it, I know what they were saying. Show me your fucking time machine then. Is it just me? Is there anybody that has got any clarity? Save me all the fucking headache. What's this book of Revelation? What's it actually saying? Read Daniel first. To be honest with you, I can't really be bothered because it's all mad language. Who's Ammon? Eamon? Who are we talking about? Well, exactly, Crystal Rod of Power. Right, I'll put it in the chat, right? There's a link. If anybody can come in and tell me what it is that I'm supposed to be reading, that'd be great, thanks. Sadie, chat after stream if you're not too tired. I've got stuff, I'm probably going to take the dog out and stuff, mate. The tomorrow morning's probably fine. Aye, you can catch me then, mate, if you're up for that. Compulsory vaccine, I will say, my body is my temple. I will never give anyone permission to inject any foreign substance into my body. No form of testing either, Connor. Exactly, Connor.
Good Ponto!
Spot on, mate. Nobody telling me what Book of Revelations is saying. That's the best I've got, one man, he's detector. Well, that's my thinking. All these people talking about creators and stuff like that, but they've had to put it in a wee book with ambiguous fucking mystical jargon. Again, that's just another creator that I'm not on board with. Is he logical and rational, reasonable, and he can articulate things direct? Fine, that would make more sense. Cunts talking to bushes and fucking... That's it, Matthew. I'm only trying to understand. It's just me. I just don't have that ability to put my attention and try and make sense of the gibberish, because that's what it seems like to me, gibberish. This God obviously never accounted for moi. Just decipher the clicks. Any time in the morning, mate, about, about 9 o'clock, around about then. Hope eternal existence isn't compulsory. Will the Creator give me a choice whether I can opt out or not? Aye. No, you're eternal and that's it. Deal with it. Maybe this is a coping mechanism. Celtic 67, maybe that's what this is all about. This is the only way for us to cope with the knowledge of our existence. Who knows? Right, no takers. No takers. Game over. Hold on to get along else. I'm in Bundy. I'll check that out. Eddie. Well, just give me a shout, mate. I'll be about anyway, so I'll check the emails. I don't know, Emerald Rider, that's what I'm trying to make sense of. You go, boss. I think I've got a Twitter thing, but I don't go on it. Gasly. Noises. Hello. Hello. Silence.
Good point, Doe.
You can suck my fucking toenails, you clown.
Fantastic.
Right, people. Cheers. We'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.